Hi, everybody, and thanks for joining us for the PHNX Suns pregame show. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I'm Lindsay Smith here with Saul Bookman, Gerald Bourget, and Espo. Gentlemen, I didn't realize this. I realized it, but it didn't hit me until Ryan just put it in the chat. Last week of regular season. Let's hecking go. It's the last week of the regular season.
That's wild.
Can you believe that?
I can.
Oh.
Because it feels like it's been 94 games worth of regular season since all sorts of craziness has happened this year. So,
I agree, but also it kind of went really fast too, kind of.
I don't know what season you've been in. This feels like the longest season ever. And I was struggling through that 19-win season.
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
It feels like 3 separate seasons this year. That's the weird thing.
Well, I think that's why it feels so fast at this point, because you had to segment it out with all of the chaos.
Yeah.
So this feels like trade deadline on felt like a whole new season.
It was like the off season was its own season because of all the drama. By the time the season started, I was tired. And then there was the trade deadline and the team totally changed. I'm exhausted, but I'm ready for playoff basketball.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
this is exciting.
1,000,000%.
We are almost there, but we do have a few games left to go, and there's still a lot of wiggle room, especially in the West. Tonight, the Suns will be taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, this team, they sit one game in front of the Mavs for that 10th spot in the standings. So you know they're going to be playing desperate tonight. But we have Kevin Durant this time around, whereas the last couple times we saw them, we did not.
Look, if they weren't playing the Suns, I'm rooting for this team, right? I like what SGA has been able to do. I like that this is a team that people thought would be in the Wembanyama sweepstakes. Now they're talking play-in. There's a lot of great young talent on this squad, and anybody that can knock the Mavericks out from making the play-in is somebody I like. So I was torn for about a half a second thinking about this game, but the Suns need it more to keep home court.
Yeah, just keep stacking up wins, continue to work through your rotations, through your lineups, through your chemistry on both ends of the court, and continue to let Kevin Durant get in a flow and increase his minutes. You know, it's kind of crazy that he had such a rough game in his home debut, and you look at his numbers for his first 5 games with the Suns, he's still shooting 60% and 55% from 3, which is insane. So we know he's going to get his buckets. It's all about how the other guys function around him, and I think they're continuing to build that.
I just want to get to the playoffs. That's all. I just keep racking up the wins. I don't really care about OKC. I do care that the Mavs may miss the playoffs, which would be fun. But listen, you're just continuing to try and groove and get your gel together as a unit, and get ready to hit the playoffs at full force. And the Suns still have some things to kind of work out, but it's going to happen.
I think this will feel like a playoff game tonight with both teams having something on the line. And if they win this one, I think this will be the best win they've had since KD has come, because the Mavs win does not look impressive now with how bad that the Mavericks have been. So I think this would actually be the most quality win they've had since he's joined the team.
You didn't like the T-Wolves win? No?
No.
Okay.
Well, we'll see. I expect this to be a good game. I don't think the Suns are just going to completely blow through OKC because, like we said, they've got something very substantial to play for. And then beyond that, they've been putting together pretty good basketball here as of late. And I know that Kevin Durant is playing for the Suns, but in that last game, one of the biggest things that the Suns have to figure out is how to stop SGA without fouling, because that was one of the biggest culprits. The Thunder shot 36 free throws to Phoenix's 24 in that last game, and SGA had 19 of the Thunder's free throws. That's a big deal.
Also, the third quarter was awful for the Suns the last time. And again, just like last game where, midway through the third quarter, the Suns were just kind of playing with their food and they just kind of blew a lead. They did that last time against OKC and it burned them. Last game, obviously, they were able to hold on against a subpar Nuggets squad that was missing basically everybody that was important. So this game, you get a lead, you have control of the game. You need to do it from beginning to end. You can't stop at halftime and just think, oh, okay, we're up by 20 or 15 and we could just put it on cruise control, because that's not it.
Yeah, they've had a couple of third quarters like that with and without Kevin Durant. They had the one in Sacramento, the one in OKC, the one recently to the Nuggets. So you look at, I think 4 of their 5 games with Kevin Durant, they've had these lulls in the second half where they've built a big lead. They did it against the Bulls. They did it against the Hornets. I'm pretty sure they did it against the Mavs as well. And then they kind of take their foot off the gas. The other team comes back, and suddenly it's a game. And they've been able to close all of those out. But like Monty said after last game, like, we don't have enough time to be messing around like that or to be playing with our food. Like, we need to really take these games seriously, these third quarters seriously. So that's kind of what I'm looking for today. I think this team has enough talent to build a lead on this Thunder team that's been up and down recently. But can you sustain it? Because we know the Thunder are going to be desperate.
Yeah, the other thing I want to say is I think there's been a little uncertainty from some players. It's hard to adjust to 2 superstars, let alone 3. CP3 still, he controls everything, right? I think sometimes the Suns get in a little bit of trouble when Kevin Durant comes out in the third quarter, because it's like, I don't know, there's just a weird vibe with Kevin Durant and Book on the court, and everybody else is kind of more like just watching. They're moving, but they're not really proactive. And I think that's a learning process too, is to make sure KD and Book get theirs because they're the best players, but also to not hold back yourself.
Yeah, I think there is an element that naturally comes when you play with guys like that, where you feel like you have to defer to them.
Yeah.
Wait for them to defer to you before you get yours, almost.
And in most cases, that is the right call.
Right.
But like, if you're Terrence Ross and you're 0 for 10,
Please pass the ball.
Especially when KD's wide open in the corner.
Don't wave off Kevin Durant.
That did happen.
Please and thank you.
He was wide open in the corner. Terrence Ross is like, you want to see it rain? Let it rain.
I got this.
Brick.
Yeah, but that'll come with time. I think it's just working through the kinks of adding in a player of Kevin Durant's caliber to this team, which is something that will be really important for them over this next week. I know I saw people on Twitter already asking, like, at what point do we think about maybe resting Chris Paul a little bit? And while in a perfect case scenario, that would be wonderful to be able to give Chris Paul a little bit of rest before the playoffs, I don't think that's something that you should really be toying with, though, if you're the Suns right now, because you really do need to get that machine well oiled before then.
The rest comes in the 5 days during the play-in.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the rest at this point. Use every second, every minute you got over this next 4 or 5 games to really figure out the chemistry in this group. That's a necessity. You don't have time to mess around. We saw what happens when you shut guys down last year for a little while going into the playoffs. It screws with chemistry. You don't have time for that this year.
Yeah. And this will be something I'm writing about tomorrow for diehards on gophnx.com. But the way that Chris Paul plays into all of this is really important, because he's the one that I think is going to see as much spacing as anybody with Kevin Durant out there. And his ability to continue to knock down open threes, to take those driving lanes that are there to either get to his midi or to set up DA on those rolls is really important. So I do think, we've seen his assists be consistently high with or without Kevin Durant over the last month. But it is going to be on him to be able to make those shots and to feel comfortable with taking them, because we know he's had to adjust playing off the ball this season.
By the way, I have to send out a big congrats. I don't know if you guys are aware, but our producer, Emma, and hello from the
chat. What is going on today?
Have apparently got engaged.
They're going to get married, you guys.
After she asked to slide into Hello's DM on Friday night.
So Emma asked Hello for their Twitter account, and Hello said, listen, if you want to come into my DMs, just say that. And now apparently they're engaged. It went real fast.
What the hell
real fast. It was literally love at first message.
I don't know what's happening. All I is Emma is laughing her ass off behind the mic, and she's like blushing a little bit, and I don't know what's happening, and I'm trying to piece it all together via the chat, but nobody's really giving me any details as to what happened. And then Hello's asking us, what are we gonna give them? And I'm like, wait, what?
We gotta bring a really good wedding gift.
To what?
The wedding.
Amelia got the invitation to Hello and Emma's wedding, apparently yesterday via email, because Evite is what they're using. Apparently they're not mailing out anything. It moved so quick they had to just use Evite.
I didn't get anything.
I didn't either. That's why I'm half pissed right here when we're talking about this.
Happening
Emma didn't want us to show up.
Emma didn't even know this was happening.
Sure, Emma, sure.
I think the gift I'd get Emma is an annulment.
Goodbye. From hello to goodbye.
Oh my goodness gracious!
It all started with an internship. Damn you, hello.
It sure
Hello,
did.
stop.
He sure did. Wow.
So would their wedding song be "Hello"? Is it me you're looking for?
Well, I assume that Emma would just walk down the aisle to like intro or sexy sax. Sexy sax is what they play after the ceremony when they walk out, right? For sure. That's exactly what's happening. All right, let's move right on along to some tidbits here. ESPN Stats and Info on Twitter had a really interesting little nugget for us the other night. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker have combined to score 290 points in the first 5 games they played together for the Suns. They are one of 8 duos to score 290 points in their first 5 games as teammates, along with 7 combinations of Wilt Chamberlain and company. This is insane.
That's wild.
Basically, it's Wilt Chamberlain, some random white dude, because Wilt Chamberlain scored all the points.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look at this. It's literally all Wilt, and then you throw in KD and Book.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's very wild. I mean,
that's the 60s. There's not a lot else you can say about it. Really.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few good duos since Wilt played in this game. So
I mean, kudos to him. Mm-hmm. That's legendary right there.
But this shows. I mean, I know it's small sample size. It's a weird thing, but it also shows the potential of these guys, right? Mm-hmm. We all know that they could do something great. And I think this is just another example of, we've got 2 of the top 10 basketball players in the NBA playing in Phoenix right now. Buckle up. This is going to be exciting over the next, hopefully, 2.5 months.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because when they brought aboard Kevin Durant, I think the natural impulse was to think that Booker's scoring and shot attempts would go down. Mm-hmm. And if anything, they've gone up. Like, he's been on an absolute tear in March, and this is something I wrote about over the weekend, but like, he's been unreal whether Kevin Durant is on the court or not. And when he is on the court, he's going to see so many more wide open threes, so many easier driving lanes. Like, good luck guarding either one of these guys with the other one on the court.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at the injury. I can't get over the shenanigans happening in the chat.
I'm totally
right
distracted now.
It's quite hilarious.
The show is off the rails.
But as far as the injury report goes, it's fairly clean. There is no one and no injuries to report on the Suns side of things. And on the Thunder side of things, you still got Chet Holmgren and Kenrick Williams, who have been out for a minute now and will remain out for a minute. So nothing substantial for either team that they're not at least used to at this point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kenrick hasn't come back since he talked all that shit against the Suns, so hopefully he gets his haircut too, because I hate that 80s tail on the back of his head. Get rid of it, Kenrick. Terrible.
But what are the guys wearing tonight?
In honor of Emma's wedding dress, they're wearing white tonight. The Association Edition. And the Thunder.
Is Hello going to wear blue?
Well, the Thunder are bringing something blue tonight.
Even
so
better.
We've got everything covered for their Icon Edition.
Oh, my God.
Jesus. And Chris Paul is the something old. There you
exactly,
go.
Oh, no.
And the Durant is new.
Exactly.
Got all the bases covered here, folks.
We have this. You know what? Post game, we're going to perform the ceremony.
That's it. I'm going to get my certificate from evenyoucangetmarried.com.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
Can you legally marry an angel to a human? Is that allowed? Isn't that what Hello claims
I think we have to ask God. And according to Hello in the chat today, I am God, so I give my blessing.
Oh,
look at that.
Wow. So there you go.
It all comes together
that was a real quick, completion.
There's a lot of
thought.
There's a lot of promotion going on here that I did not know about.
I didn't do it. It was Hello, and Hello's the angel. So this is how it works out.
This is the weirdest. I love that weird. This is the group of people that have followed our show, and this is where the chat goes. We're trying to talk about serious potential playoff ramifications here, and we're planning a wedding in the chat. All right.
We're just supporting you, Emma. That's all.
We're not losing a producer. We're gaining an angel. All right.
Boy.
Okay. 2 things from the chat. We're going to talk about DA real quick because Psycho Hawk had a question, but then there's a couple people who have been asking about the CBA. We're going to talk about that as in-depth as we possibly can with what we've gotten information-wise in the post-game show.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk about the game first, of course, but then we'll discuss the CBA then. So plan to come hang out for that show, and we'll get into all of that then. But Psycho Hawk in the chat said, real question is, what do we think DA will bring today? I want to see another big game from him before the end of the regular season.
So you look at his field goal attempts, and they've been notably down in the 5 games that Kevin Durant has played. But you look at the quality of those looks, and they've been really high. And I think the last couple of games in particular, he's just missed a couple of bunnies that he's normally going to make. I know people are looking at the raw stats and concerned about his production or concerned about the way he looked when he came back from foul trouble. But like, for me, it's more about the process over the results right now. And I think a lot of these bunnies that he's been missing lately are shots that he normally makes, and you should feel good about those things. So I do think the Suns need to do a better job of running specific actions designed to free him up. And I think they do with a lot of their pick and roll stuff. But it's not a concern for me right now. I care less about the individual production than I do about how the defense looks when he's out there, how he's crashing the offensive glass, how he's running in transition, the screens he's setting, all the little things that I've talked about over and over again. So I have been keeping an eye on that, but I don't think you should chalk it up to just points or rebounds as far as how he's doing with this group.
I don't care. I don't care about the numbers. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
I more care about how he's going about playing the game. Like, is he aggressive? Is he being assertive? Like, he had a couple big time blocks the other night, and he was kind of talking some shit. And I want to see that continue. But again, like, there was the other night when I was talking about like seeing how he could progress through a game. There was far too many times where I felt like he was flat-footed when it came to rebounding, not giving it a second attempt like you'll see Josh Okogie or Torrey Craig do, or basically just giving up and conceding that the rebound's going to go to the other team. And I think a couple of those opportunities, had he just tried to work with a little bit more effort, he could find himself giving himself opportunities, especially on the offensive side, to give you some easy buckets. You know, they always say like, hey, listen, if your shot's not falling or you're not involved in the game offensively, you got to find a different way to get involved in the game. And I think in that regard, sometimes DA gets a little too complacent and a little too stand still for me. And I want to see that improve. And that's all I really care about. On the defensive end, I think the same thing can be said to a much lesser degree. I think he's active on defense. I think he's in good, position most times. I think there are a couple times where I feel like he can go get a block, and he kind of holds back a little bit and lets the defense shoot over a different defender. And I think he could just be a little bit more aggressive overall. I'm not saying that he's awful. I'm not saying that he's the greatest ever. I think that there's just little things here and there that hopefully will improve. And when they get to the playoffs, it'll all come together like it has the last 2 seasons in the playoffs.
Hit your bunnies. Don't get in foul trouble. If DA does that, I think he's going to be just fine with this group. The other night, the foul trouble completely threw him off. I think when he came back in, he was very much more passive because he didn't want to get another foul. So I think, is he going to be a world beater? Probably not right now, but I want him to come in and just do those things. Give me 16, give me 10. And I think that's very doable with the shot selection he's seeing. He's shooting 47% since he came back from injury, which is un-DA-like, right? I think that changes here, and those looks that have been good start to fall. It'll be fine.
All right, let's talk a little sports betting. Who y'all got tonight by how much?
I got the Suns by 6, I believe.
I also have the Suns by 6.
Okay.
I have the Suns by 5. I'm slightly less optimistic than you.
I am slightly more optimistic than all of you with Suns by 7.
Okay.
That's what I'm going with. All I care about is the Suns win, though, because it's a part of my bet. But before we get to that, what do our friends over at BetMGM think about tonight's game?
Oh, yes. The king of sportsbooks thinks that the Suns are going to be winning by 5.5 tonight. So right in between me and you guys is where MGM hits us tonight.
Love it.
All right. Saul, Espo, which one of you wants to start off with our picks of the night?
I'll go with my bet first.
Okay. What you got?
So I have, let's see, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 part parlay.
Okay.
It is Booker 30 PRA, and then Durant 30 PRA, Ayton 20 PRA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander 30 PRA, And then you have Chris Paul with a 20 PRA and Josh Okogie with a 14 PRA. I feel like those are all doable, especially in this game. It's at a plus 400. If I win, I come away with $50. So.
Nice.
Okay.
Mine is simple.
What you got?
The total points scored tonight are going to be between 201 and 210. It's at a plus 1150, and I would win $125 in this.
I mean, that would put you in the
back
lead,
in the thick
right?
of things, yeah.
Or very,
pretty
very
close.
close,
Pretty
too,
close,
if
depending
not
on what
the
happened.
lead.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a 6-leg parlay that is only a plus 110, but
It's just a lot of work for
My
nothing.
God.
I saw that and I was like, that's a lot of work for nothing.
it is, but it's all doable, like super doable, like real easy. Like I'm
It better
talking
be.
Chris Paul, 5 assists, points and rebounds for DA 15, PRA for Book at 30, Suns winning, and 1-3 for Book and KD.
Okay. This
This is
sounds,
all easy.
this sounds like Gerald staying up till 4 a.m. to do an article, tweeting it, getting 2 clicks, and then the internet crashing for the rest of like 48 hours. Like, it's just a hell of a lot of work for what? Why did I do that? Like, come on.
That's
Well,
tough.
still works.
Oh my God.
Only if you win.
I have been, for the most part, knock on wood, touch metal, when I have a easily or easier bet that can be accomplished, they usually do hit.
But that is
They're
like,
just they don't pay out a lot, but it still
I
works.
just think there's probably a more efficient way to go about it than a 6-leg parlay that would only pay out.
Yeah, well, you know
fraction.
what? It is what it is. And also, I'll be completely honest with you. Now that Kevin Durant is in the fold, it's kind of tough. I haven't figured out exactly how to bet on this team yet in a
Fair.
way that I did prior to KD. Like prior to KD, I feel like I had this team down pretty well to be able to make decent bets that had decent payouts. With Kevin Durant in the fold, it's kind of threw me for a loop. So I'm just navigating it as I
feel
can.
you.
this is like the antithesis of your life, your life philosophy. You just did the most work for the least payoff, and usually it's the least work for the most payoff.
I am
right?
very much about work smarter, not
Yes.
harder.
Why are you betting against the way you live your life?
Because I'm
Damn.
still trying to figure it
Wow.
out. So
That,
I mean that I mean that respectfully.
that was right to the core.
I don't take that as disrespect. Honestly, I do
no,
think that you should work smarter,
Right,
not
yes.
It's
harder.
1,000,000%
I feel like
facts.
what is the point? Why would you work harder instead of smarter? That's just stupid.
That's amazing.
But
But
I
you just
digress.
did that.
And I just told you why. It's because I haven't figured it out yet. So I'm still just like, I'm just navigating. I'm doing the best I can with what I got, okay? All right. Frank in the chat said, can I get some BetMGM promo codes and a shameless Shane disclosure? Yes, Frank, you absolutely can. Here you go. If you have not signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code PHNX and you will get $200 in bonus bets on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Just download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code PHNX. Place a pregame moneyline wager in the amount of at least $10 on any market at standard odds price. You will receive $200 in bonus bets instantly, regardless of the outcome of your wager. Just make sure you use bonus code PHNX when you sign up. Now here's Shane to tell you about the disclaimers.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
All right. Let's take a look at the standings.
I was just gonna say, I think Frank gave us a new nickname for Shane, a shameless Shane.
A shameless Shane. I'm sure there's something there. That's for sure. All right. Western Conference standings. How we looking, y'all?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Can't complain.
I don't like this 4-5 matchup. I'm not gonna lie. I really would prefer not the Warriors, but as long as the Suns are still the 4, I'll be okay.
Yeah,
I mean-
right now, as we sit here, just to give you guys a frame of reference, the Suns are a game and a half over the Warriors, 2 games over the Clippers, who are in the 6th spot, and then 2.5 over the Pelicans, the Lakers, 3 games over the Lakers, and then 4 games over the Timberwolves and 4.5 over OKC. Dallas is on the outside looking in. The Suns are well above them at 5.5 games above them. So really, I think the Suns, if they win a couple more games here in the next week, they're going to basically seal this thing up before we get to the weekend, which would be good. It gives you flexibility to, especially with the back-to-back at the end of the week on Thursday, Friday, and then the last game on Sunday. That's 3 games in 4 days. It affords you to be able to play guys a little less than you would, get them ready for the playoffs, get them rested, and good positioning.
Here's one for you. If you have the 4 wrapped up next Sunday, final game of the season, and you're playing the Clippers, and if the Clippers lose or win, they move ahead of the Warriors for 5.
Do you throw it?
Do you throw it on purpose to try to get the Clippers instead of the Warriors?
I do.
Because you're not going to have Paul George in the first round. They've said that. Basically, it's going to so I almost feel like you have to seriously consider
if that is the scenario. I think at that point, as a franchise, you're like, yeah, I definitely would like to take my chances with the Clippers than mess with the Warriors. Let the Warriors go through the hard part of the other part of the bracket with the Nuggets and the Grizzlies, or I'm sorry, not the Nuggets, but the Grizzlies, Sacramento, and possibly whoever comes out of that 7. Like, yeah,
Do you have a closed door player only meeting ahead of that one so that nobody knows what's going on?
Doesn't have to say anything. He just second, third quarter. All right, KD, Book, CP3, DA all come out. You let everybody else run and see what happens.
Carol,
Terrence, you want to take 45 shots? Have fun.
I don't know. Like if it comes down to the last game and the Clippers can pass the Warriors with a win, maybe you don't go as hard. Maybe you don't play your guys 30, 35 minutes that night. But I also feel like the Suns have played well against the Warriors this season. I think obviously you would rather have a Paul George-less Clippers team than the Dubs, especially if they're going to be getting Andrew Wiggins back soon. But like honestly, as long as they have that 4 seed, if it is the Warriors that they're matched up with, this is a team that's 9-29 on the road this season. True. Like they're going to be better in the playoffs, obviously when it matters, but they haven't proven that they can win on the road. And if you have home court advantage and you have Kevin Durant, I do feel like you have the advantage there.
Yeah, but go look at their home record, and if you slip up once, all of a sudden that gets to be a tall task.
But the Suns had the best home record and away record last year, and look what that fucking got them in the second round. So
I think if you look at that though, if I'm the Nuggets, I'm going, ooh, I don't like any of these potential number 8 teams that I'm looking at. Lakers, Pelicans, T-Wolves, none of those are easy.
Yeah, I mean, I would if I was the Nuggets, I'd be more fearful of the Pelicans out of that group, just because of how physical they can be on the defensive side. And then obviously you never know with LeBron and AD how well they're going to play and be able to put things together. I still am not a believer in the Lakers. I think they're frauds. They've always been frauds. Like I don't care about them at all. And then the Timberwolves, I feel like they're still young and kind of dumb when they play the game. Like they make kind of egregious errors at the most random times, and so I'm not a believer in them. Plus, Rudy Gobert can't do shit in the playoffs. So
poor guy. He took so many L's this week.
Yeah, he did. Deservedly so.
Bless his heart.
Yeah, but the league's fixed for OKC and the Mavs and the Houston Rockets and the Suns,
and the Kings. Don't forget about the Kings.
Everybody but Minnesota, it's rigged for. It's amazing.
I will say this in regards to a Warriors matchup. I think the Warriors at full strength are the second best team in the West, and you're going to have to beat the best in the West at some point.
Right.
As much as you want to try and avoid it, if it happens in round 1, then it happens in round 1. Don't really care. You got to get past them anyway, because you just know that at some point you're going to have to get through the Warriors to get to the championship if they're fully healthy. Yeah. So you might as well just go ahead and knock it out in round 1. And it'll be fun to watch. Let's be honest. Steph, Clay, Book, KD, sign me up. Let's go.
It reminds me a lot of the, do you want to face the Lakers in the first round debate from 2 years ago in 2021. And a lot of people, myself included, didn't want to face the Lakers because you had big names and they were coming off a bubble championship. But maybe it plays out very much like that.
I remember somebody that said I would love to play the Lakers in the first round.
It was Saul, all right? And
Okay, to round out the show, we did get a last-minute super chat from Devin. Thank you, Devin. They said, Lindsay bets like my grandma at bingo night with a heart emoji. Well, your grandma's a smart woman, Devin. Make sure you're kind to her. Thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate you guys. Don't forget to meet us right back here after the game wraps up.
B15.
Bye.
B15.
PHNX.
Hey yo, my lifestyle is retro. Tell the Phoenix Metro. Megas in control and he ain't never gonna let go. PHNX though. Lindsay.